Turkish Airlines presents Business Africa.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Business Africa. I'm Ndea Yoka. Let's take a look at the headlines. Rwanda once again exits the Economic Community of Central African States. A major blow that shakes up cooperation and could impact the regional economy. Next, we head to Ngong, Cameroon's peanut capital. Despite producing 180,000 tonnes annually, its economic potential is being eroded by smuggling and a lack of mechanisation. And finally, in Kibera, one of Africa's largest slums, a Kenyan fintech is turning Bitcoin into everyday money to bypass financial exclusion. Rwanda has ended its 16-year membership of ECCAS. The withdrawal raises crucial questions about the future of political trade cooperation in an already fragile region.
Rwanda has announced its withdrawal from the Economic Community of Central African States after 16 years. The announcement is a major blow to the organization, where trade accounts for barely 5% of intra-African commerce. This is the second time Kigali is withdrawing from the bloc. The first time was in 2007, followed by a return in 2016. The decision was prompted by the organization's 26th summit in Equatorial Guinea. Kigali had expected to take over the rotating presidency of the bloc, but member states extended the term of President Obiang Nguema. Rwanda denounced what it termed as the DRC's manipulation of the bloc and accused the community of violating its founding principles. With only 3% of its exports destined for the ECCAS area, Kigali is downplaying the economic impact, but for transporters, the withdrawal is likely to increase logistics costs, particularly on the Dar es Salaam corridor, which is crucial for Rwandan supplies. Two sectors are considered particularly vulnerable: air transport, with 30% of intra-ECCAS traffic at risk, and telecommunications, where roaming charges could skyrocket. Investors, meanwhile, remain attentive to border stability and developments in tension with Kinshasa. More worrying in the long term is that this departure could complicate the implementation of the Continental Free Trade Area in a region that is already lagging behind in terms of trade cooperation.
Rwanda's exit from ECCAS reignites the debate on regional integration in Central Africa. To better understand the implications, we're joined by Eugene Niambal, a Cameroonian economist and consultant. Monsieur Niambal, welcome to Business Africa. Rwanda has announced its withdrawal from the Economic Community of Central African States. Can you shed some light on the decision?
What happened is that, due to Rwanda's aggression against the DRC brought the matter to ECCAS, asking the organization to pressure Rwanda to stop supporting the rebels in eastern Congo. The DRC's position received more sympathy from the bloc's member states. Rwanda was supposed to take over the rotating presidency of ECCAS, but most member states insisted that Equatorial Guinea remain in charge. This irritated Rwanda, which had already been voicing concerns about ECCAS not being as effective as member states had hoped.
What are Kigali's main criticisms of ECCAS? Not efficient enough?
Exactly. I have studied ECCAS and, in my view, when compared to ECOWAS, SADC or other regional blocs, it is one of the least advanced in terms of regional integration. There is a sub-bloc, CEMAC, which is better structured with a central bank and an economic union. But if we look at ECCAS overall, it suffers from many weaknesses. There is a lack of dynamism and too few regional projects aimed at advancing integration. It is a union where member countries aren't convinced that their future depends on working together. Countries like Angola, the DRC, and those joining CEMAC are present, but there's no strong momentum.
Could Rwanda's departure send shockwaves through the bloc?
I don't think so. ECCAS is affected by what economists call the resource curse. Each country has enough mineral or natural resources to survive on its own, so there's no real incentive to unite and build a strong economic bloc. That's different from regions like ECCAS, where countries rely on trade with neighbors to fuel their economies. In East Africa, which is mostly Anglophone, there is a stronger tradition of trade. In the SADC zone, most economies have reached a critical size. Countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Tanzania all have higher GDPs than most Central African countries. ECCAS economies are mostly based on raw materials, sold unprocessed to Asia or the European Union. Kenya, for instance, has a fairly diversified industrial base, and Ethiopia has built Africa's largest dam, designed to supply electricity to Kenya and neighboring countries. In those regions, cooperation is driven by economic interdependence, and there is a shared understanding that growth only happens collectively. I've seen ECCAS projects financed by international donors that were supposed to be completed in 3 or 4 years take up to 9. ECCAS has only been able to use about a third of the funds allocated for regional integration. There are even more restrictions on transporting goods between ECCAS countries than exporting to Europe. So the problems are many: a lack of political will to build a strong union, weak institutional capacity, and limited ability to launch and carry out joint programs.
Monsieur Niambal, thank you.
Thank you.
Despite producing enough groundnuts to fuel its economy, Cameroon is struggling to make the most of its brown gold. The sector is hampered by outdated farming methods and uncontrolled cross-border trade.
In Ngong, peanuts are everywhere. The town, situated 40 kilometers from Garoua, the capital of northern Cameroon, is well known for the precious crop. Every day, hundreds of sacks are shipped to the south, neighboring countries and nearby towns. Alaji Alino, a trade and wholesaler in the far north, sources exclusively from Ngong.
We sell peanut sacks that come from the Ngong market. It's because Ngong has a big international market. Many people come here from Nigeria, Gabon, even Chad, because the prices are affordable.
Sold in 100-kilo sacks, the peanuts come in several varieties. They are one of Cameroon's top agricultural products, second only to cotton. The fertile land means that almost every family, even those with modest means, cultivates at least 1 hectare of peanut crops. Economists consider this region the breadbasket of Central Africa, with a strong impact on the national economy.
According to recent figures I've gathered, production stands between 130,000 and 180,000 tons, which is quite substantial. This is a very promising sector that the government should prioritize. Mechanization is still very low, even though the potential is huge. Neighboring countries even benefit from it. Among them are Nigeria, the Central African Republic, and Chad. It's worth noting that around 1/5 of the production ends up in these countries illegally.
And according to the expert, more government involvement could turn the humble peanut into a true lever for not only food self-sufficiency, but also the economy.
In the narrow alleys of Kibera, smartphones are becoming Bitcoin wallets. This digital revolution is powered by Afribit, a local startup serving those left behind by traditional banking.
In Kibera, one of Africa's largest slums, Bitcoin is entering the daily economy. Around 200 residents of this Nairobi neighborhood use cryptocurrency daily. The initiative comes from Afribit Africa, a Kenyan fintech that has been distributing subsidies in Bitcoin since 2022. The goal is to bypass banking exclusion. I've been using Bitcoin for about a year and a half now. Bitcoin helps avoid carrying bulky cash in your pockets. When you have cash, you become a target for thieves. Garbage collectors like Onesimus, often paid by NGOs, were the first to adopt cryptocurrency. Local shopkeepers quickly followed suit.
I started using Bitcoin last year. I sell vegetables for cash and in Bitcoin. So far, on good business days, between 9 and 15 customers pay with Bitcoin each day.
AfriBit Africa says its mission is to use Bitcoin tools to empower and educate communities excluded from traditional financial systems.
Right now we work with merchants and the waste management groups. These are the heartbeats of the Kibra community, and they represent about 80% of the population that does not have access to the traditional banking system.
Payments for services, food, mobile phones, top-ups, everything is now going digital. But while Bitcoin offers a path for financial inclusion, it doesn't erase the challenges: connectivity costs, market volatility, and lack of regulation.
And that's it for Business Africa. To watch this episode again, head over to africanews.com and our digital platforms. Until next time.
Business Africa was presented by Turkish Airlines.